Hello everyone. So let's begin today by checking your homework together. So first of all, we have number one, have breakfast. Good. What about number two? Well, number two, you go to bed. Good. Number three, you have lunch. Good. So dinner is the same. Number four, have dinner. Number five, go to school. Number six, she gets up, to get up. And then seven, to get dressed. Number eight, she's brushing her teeth, brush your teeth. And number nine is to play in the park. Great. Look at the next page. On page 11, you had to circle the correct time. Let's do this together. So what's the time on number one? It's already been done for you there. It's 2 o'clock. Yeah. What about number two? What's the time? Well, number two is 4 o'clock. Correct. Number three, what's the time? It's 7 o'clock. Good. Number four, what's the time? Well, it's 10 o'clock. Number five, it's 12 o'clock. Good. So we need to write the correct time in the next exercise. So I'm going to make this bigger. We first need to think for ourselves. Now, I have breakfast every morning around 9 a.m. I have lunch quite late, about 1 o'clock. I have dinner late at night around 8 o'clock. And I go to bed very late, about 11 o'clock. Okay, so let's write those in letters. I have breakfast at 9 o'clock, lunch at 1 o'clock. I have dinner at 8 o'clock, and I go to bed at 11 o'clock. Good. That's it. Okay, now I'm sure you remember from last week, Mr. Blue, a song about Mr. Blue. Well, there was an exercise for homework here about Mr. Blue. So we're gonna listen again and we're gonna write down the numbers to the correct pictures. Let's start now.
It's 3 o'clock. In the afternoon.
I get dressed. And then I have a shower. And then I brush my teeth. For another hour.
Mr. Blue, what a funny thing to do. Oh, Mr. Blue, what can we do with you? It's 6 o'clock. In the morning.
I eat dinner
I eat dinner.
and watch TV. Then I have lunch and drink some tea.
Drink some tea, that's it.
Mr. Blue, what a funny thing to do. Oh, Mr. Blue, what
Blue, that's my name.
What can we do with you?
Oh, make me a nice cup of tea, that's what we do. 2 lumps of salt, please.
I like Mr. Blue. Good man. He looks a little bit sad. I like him. Okay, guys. And finally, the last page that you're supposed to do for homework.
Workbook, page 13.
1. Listen and draw lines.
1,
Dan gets up at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so that was the first one.
2,
Dan has breakfast at 8 o'clock.
Has breakfast at 8 o'clock.
3,
Dan goes to school at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock he goes to school.
4,
Dan plays in the park at 5 o'clock.
All right, 5 o'clock. He's here. He plays in the
5.
park.
Dan has dinner at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock is here. Dan has dinner. So that means
6,
Dan goes to bed at 10 o'clock.
he goes to bed at 10 o'clock. All right,
Workbook.
great. Okay, great. So let's make this exercise bigger now. All right. So we need to enter the correct verbs. Number 1 has been done for us. So number 1 is gets. Dan gets up at 7 o'clock. And then he, of course, then he has breakfast. He goes to school at 9 o'clock. Then number 4, he plays in the park at 5 o'clock, correct? At number 5, at 6 o'clock, Dan has dinner. Good. And that means the last one is goes. Dan goes to bed at 10 o'clock. Okay, so that's the homework done. Great. So let's have a look at this little story here. This is Benny. Benny, what does he do every day? Well, here we go. Let's read it together. Benny gets up. He gets up at 7 o'clock every day. So we can see it's 7 o'clock down here. So that will be, let's give it number 1. Benny gets up at 7 o'clock. He has breakfast at 8 o'clock. Can you see him having breakfast? Yes, right here. That's has breakfast at 8 o'clock. And then he goes to school. Okay, well, we don't see him go to school. No. He plays in the park, though, at 4 o'clock. Oh, there he is. This is him in the park. So that'll be number 3. He has dinner with his mom and dad. Aha, that's number 4 at 6 o'clock. And he goes to bed at 9 o'clock. So this, and he goes to bed at 9 o'clock. So this is it. You can see his clock here. It says 9 o'clock. Now, have a look. The verb here, gets. He, Benny is the same as he. He gets up at 7 o'clock. He has breakfast with an S, has. And then he goes to school. He plays in the park. Again, he has dinner, okay, and he goes to bed. Again, always S, the letter S at the end, okay? This is the third person for he, she, or it. So let's keep looking at these children's stories. Now, let's have a look at these three girls. We've got Claire right here. We've got Emma, and this is Kate. Okay, now, when we were talking about Benny, we said he. Well, Claire, Emma, and Kate are girls, so we will say she. What does she do every day? Let's talk about Claire, all right? Now, Claire, she wakes up at 6 a.m. So, well, this is wakes up. No. She wakes up at 6 a.m. And then, that's done. Then she goes to school at 8 o'clock. Correct. She has dinner with her mom and dad at 6 o'clock, and she goes to bed at 9 o'clock. What about Emma? Well, she wakes up at 8 o'clock, so later. She wakes up at 8 o'clock. She goes to school at 9 o'clock. She has dinner with her parents at 7 o'clock, and she goes to bed at 8 o'clock. And finally, we've got Kate. Well, she wakes up at 7 o'clock. She goes to school at 9 o'clock. She has dinner with her parents at 8 o'clock, and she goes to bed really late at 10 o'clock. Okay? Okay, so now let's read about Janice. Janice is a pilot. All right, let's have a look at her story. Janice is a pilot. She flies from Heathrow Airport in London to all over Europe. At 11 o'clock in the morning, she leaves her house. She arrives at the airport at 12 o'clock. Today, her flight is to Rome. It leaves London at 3 o'clock, and it arrives in Italy at 5 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, the plane leaves Rome, and it arrives in London at 10 o'clock. Janice gets home at 11 o'clock at night. What a long day for Janice. So notice again, because we are talking about she, we have S at the end of every verb. She flies, she leaves, arrives, leaves again, arrives. Here we go. Janice she gets home at 11 o'clock at night. All right? So don't forget, always S with he or she. Now, let's have a look at the times we need to circle the correct answer. Janice leaves her house. So what time does she leave her house? It says she flies, at 11 o'clock in the morning, she leaves her house. 11 o'clock, which one is it? Oh, yes, this is it. She leaves her house. Number 2, Janice arrives at the airport. So it says she arrives at the airport at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock is this one here. Her plane leaves London. So today her flight is to Rome. Leaves London at 3 o'clock. It says 3 o'clock right here. So which one is 3 o'clock? That's it. 3 o'clock right here. and it arrives in Italy at 5 o'clock. Her plane arrives at 5 o'clock, so that would be it. Her plane arrives in Rome at 5. And finally, we've still got number 5 and number 6 there. Number 5, her plane leaves Rome. So it leaves Rome, there you go, 7 o'clock. So that's it, 7 o'clock here. And finally, she goes home, well, very, very late. We said it, 11 o'clock. So that would be 11 o'clock right here. Indeed, a very long day. All right, great. Let's clear all this. Okay, great. So now we are going to do a listening exercise. We are going to listen to this little girl talking about her daddy. So let's have a listen, and we need to draw the lines between the pictures and the clocks. Okay.
Page 17.
1. Listen and draw lines.
Linda, tell me about your dad.
My dad's a fireman. He often works at night. We all have dinner at 7, and then he leaves the house at 8.
Then do you go to bed?
Yes, I go to bed at 9.
What time does he come home?
Dad comes home at 6 in the morning, and then he has breakfast with us at 7.
What time does your dad go to bed?
At 8 in the morning, when I leave for school.
Okay, guys. So that's everything for today. I'm going to send you the homework as well for next week. So please don't forget to do the homework. Bye, everyone.